Welcome to Buy Her Basket's instructional DVD for our reading basket pattern. This basket is perfect to sit beside your favorite chair and fill with books and magazines for your reading pleasure. We consider the weaving level to be for an advanced beginner. The basket itself is woven using basic weaving techniques. The woven divider down the center of the basket is what makes it a little more challenging. This DVD will show you each step in making the reading basket. If you bought the Buy Her Baskets kit, you'll have all the materials you need to complete this basket. Gather your tools and materials and set up a comfortable working space with plenty of light and a flat working surface. Depending on your weaving style, you may work seated, standing, or a combination of both. For this basket, you'll need the basic basketry tools. This includes a basin for water, shears, packing tool, measuring tape, pencil, spray bottle filled with water, and of course clothespins. A spoke weight is helpful, but another heavy object can be used to help hold the reed. As far as materials, you'll need various sizes of flat and flat oval and round reed. You'll need some dyed reed as well as 2 wooden side handles and 4 wooden feet. The materials are detailed in the written pattern. Now let's get started. First we need to cut the vertical and horizontal basket stakes, as well as stakes for the divider. From 5/8 inch flat reed, cut 11 vertical stakes at 28 inches each. Using a pencil, lightly mark the center of each stake on the rough side of the reed. Each piece of reed has a rough and smooth side. Glide your finger lightly over the reed to decide which side is smoother. Next, cut the horizontal stakes, cutting 7 from 5/8 inch flat reed, each 34 inches long, and again marked at the center on the rough side of the reed. Lay these aside while you cut the divider stakes. Again, using 5/8 inch flat reed, cut 6 at 16 inches. Mark the center of these stakes and 2 inches from each end, but for these stakes, make your marks on the smooth side of the reed. Now cut 5 divider stakes from 5/8 inch flat reed, 14 inches long. Mark the center of these stakes and 1 inch from each end on the smooth side of the reed. If you have the Buy Her Baskets kit, the stakes are already marked and cut for you. Now we are ready to weave the base. Immerse the 7 34 inch horizontal stakes in your basin of water. They only need to soak a minute or 2. After soaking, lay them on a flat surface and spread them out horizontally in front of you, approximately 3/4 of an inch apart. You'll adjust these as necessary after you've woven all the base stakes. Align the center marks, use a spoke weight or other heavy object to hold the stakes in place as you work. Wet the 6 vertical stakes. After soaking, take 1 stake and weave it over and under at the center of your horizontal stakes. Begin this first stake under the first horizontal stake. That's the one closest to you. Align the center of this stake with the center of the middle horizontal stake. Weave 5 more vertical stakes to the right of the first vertical stake in an over and under pattern, roughly spacing them 3/4 of an inch apart. Weave the remaining 5 vertical stakes to the left of the center vertical stake in the same manner. Adjust the base so that it measures 6.5 inches wide by 12.5 inches long. All stakes should be evenly spaced. Your base is adjusted to size. Wet your keeper row, which is a piece of 1/4 inch flat reed. You should let this soak a little longer than you did your stakes. Start the keeper piece on top of a stake on the long side of the base and weave it around the base in an over and under pattern. When you reach a corner, do a tight 90-degree turn. I find it helpful to bend the reed over the corner stake, straighten it, then turn it over and begin weaving again. Do this at each corner. When you reach your starting point, weave over and under, overlapping 4 stakes. If you are an experienced weaver, this is just like weaving a side row, only it's around the base. The keeper row will do just like its name, keep your base in place. Some weavers call this shaker twining. Using your finger, rub off all visible pencil markings while the stakes are still damp. It's time to upset our base stakes. Use a spray bottle to re-wet your basket base stakes if they have dried. Gently fold the horizontal and vertical stakes up against the keeper row. Do this gently so as not to crack the stakes. Now we are ready to start the divider stakes. Soak the stakes in the basin for several minutes. After soaking, bend each stake over at the center mark. The smooth side of the reed should be out. Bend each end of the stake up at the pencil mark. This makes 2 feet for your stake. At this point, your stake should be about 6 inches tall. You can now start inserting your divider stakes. I like to start at the left end of the base. You'll need to start with a divider stake that has 2-inch feet. Center the divider stake with the center of the base's middle horizontal stake. Slide 1 foot under the first available horizontal stake on one side. Slide the other foot under the first available horizontal stake on the other side. Push the stake down, flush with the basket base. You'll need to keep pushing the divider down as you weave. Continue adding the divider stakes, alternating between the stakes with 2-inch feet and 1-inch feet. Trim the feet if necessary so they don't stick out from under the horizontal stakes. Squeeze the divider piece together and keep them aligned. The sooner you make these adjustments, if necessary, the better. Now you are ready to start weaving the basket sides and divider rows using 1/2-inch flat reed. Wet the weavers. Weave 3 side rows before starting the divider rows. Take a wet weaver and with the smooth side of the reed out, place it on a vertical stake on the long side of the basket so that the weaver falls behind the center vertical stake. Use a clothespin to hold in place. Weave in an in and out pattern around the basket using more clothespins to help hold the weaver. When you reach the starting point, overlap the weaver for 4 stakes and cut it so it hides behind the last stake. After weaving the 3rd row, only slightly pack the rows down close together. You'll need some room to add the divider rows. Now begin your first divider row using wet 1/2-inch flat reed. Tuck the weaver behind the center vertical stake and the side weaver, then again between the second vertical stake and the side weaver. This can be a little troublesome. If you can only get it behind one vertical stake, that's sufficient. Wrap the weaver around the first divider stake, then weave in an in and out pattern to the other end. Wrap the weaver around the last divider stake and tuck behind the center vertical stake and the second vertical stake on the other short end of the basket. Cut the weaver so it hides behind the stake. Push the divider stakes down, flush with the bottom of the basket, and align the divider stakes as necessary, and pack the weaver down. Weave the second divider row in the same manner, starting opposite of the first. Pack well and align the feet with the base stakes as necessary. It gets harder to do this with each row. Dye 20 pieces of number 3 round reed, 7 to 8 inches long, the color of your choice. It's a good idea to dye a couple extra pieces in case you happen to break a piece. Insert a piece of the round reed along each side of the basket stakes 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 on the long side of the basket. The end of each piece should extend slightly below basket weaver row 2 on the inside of the basket. Extend it down to rest on the top of the first side row on the inside of the basket. Now you can first weave a divider row, letting the ends extend out from the basket wall approximately 3 inches on each side. Then weave your side row starting on a long side of the basket. When you reach the point on the short end where the divider weaver is sticking out, pick it up and weave it along with the side weaver. Cut the divider weaver so it is hidden behind a vertical stake. When you reach the other side, pick up the extended divider weaver on that side and weave it in as well. Weave 12 rows of half-inch flat reed for the basket sides. You'll have a total of 15 rows. The 15th row is called the rim row. Weave the divider rows until you reach one row short of the top of the divider. It should be either 11 or 12 rows. The top row is the divider's rim row. Depending on how much space you have, weave this row using half-inch flat reed or 3/8-inch flat reed. Do not use an in and out pattern, but slip this weaver between the divider stakes where they double over. Now let's cut and tuck the basket stakes. Look at the stakes. Some fall on the outside of the basket, some come up from the inside of the basket. The stakes that are on the inside of the basket are cut flush with the top of the basket. You'll want to re-wet the part of the stakes that extend above the basket, those that fall on the outside of the basket. You'll be folding these stakes over to the inside of the basket and you don't want them to break. Fold these stakes over, check to see where they end, tuck them behind at least 2 side rows, trim off the excess so the stake hides behind a side row. You can cut and tuck in any order that you feel most comfortable with. If you have the Buy Her Baskets kit, a side-notched wooden handle is provided. The exact size may vary from kit to kit. On the short end of the basket, center the handle with the center vertical stake. Align the bottom of the notch with the bottom of the rim row. Insert the ends or legs of the handle down behind the horizontal row that the end of the leg is closest to. The handle is only tucked behind one row. Insert a handle on each short side. To prepare your rimming materials, for the divider rim, cut 2 pieces of 5/8-inch flat oval the length of the basket. To prepare your basket rim, I generally like to soak the 5/8-inch flat oval rim piece in the basin before marking and scarfing the overlaps. After the reed has soaked, use a clothespin to hold the outside rim piece against the second or third stake on the long side of the basket. Wrap it tightly around the basket until you reach the beginning. Use as many clothespins as necessary to hold it. Overlap the reed approximately 3 to 4 inches. Cut the reed. Use a pencil to mark where the reed falls on the overlapped piece, the beginning of the rim piece. Also mark on the outside rim piece, on its inside or flat side, where the beginning piece falls. Use these marks to scarf the rim piece. Scarfing is necessary to eliminate bulk where the rim pieces overlap. Carefully use a wood knife, Stanley shaver, or other tool of your choice to scarf or trim down the overlap portions of the rim. Wet the 5-inch flat inside rim piece. Start the inside rim piece on the second or third basket stake on the long side of the basket. Pin it around the inside of the basket, within or above the handle notches, depending on the style handle, and around until you reach the beginning of the piece. Overlap the beginning by approximately 3 to 4 inches. Begin the outside rim piece just past where the inside rim overlaps. Wrap it tightly around the basket and pin in place. Lay the seagrass between the outside and inside rim pieces. Let the seagrass overlap 2 to 3 inches. Now you are ready to lash or tie the rim onto the basket. A strong rim makes a strong basket. To start your lashing, anchor it over the rim row, but below your rim pieces. Start the lasher with an inch or 2 extending below the outside basket wall. If using flat oval reed for the lasher, which is what you have in the kit, the oval side should be against the basket wall. Some weavers refer to this as a fishhook. After anchoring the lasher, Bring the long end up from the inside of the basket and over the basket, and bring the end over and across the stake under the rim row to the inside of the basket. Pull the lasher tightly and clip it to the stake with a clothespin to keep it tight. Using the squirt bottle, re-wet your lasher often. Continue around the basket. Treat the stakes where the handles fall in the same manner. Upon reaching the starting point, reverse the weaving, forming an X. The X can form on the outside of the stake or at the top, depending on where you crisscross it. The only difference this makes is how it looks. When you again reach your starting point, lash over one or two adjacent stakes. Form another fishhook. Give your reed a chance to dry, then trim the lasher closely to the rim bottom. It doesn't matter whether you do the divider rim or basket rim first. We've switched back and forth a little in this video, but whether you are doing the divider or basket rim, you use the same techniques. To add the wooden feet, insert a foot at each corner on the long side of the basket. Slip the leg of the foot under the horizontal rows. If you're using a small foot, you can usually overlap the legs of the feet. If it makes it too bulky, trim the legs so that they butt up against each other. Some weavers like to stain their baskets, some like to leave them natural. There are various staining materials available, both natural and commercial. Be sure to read the label and follow the directions when using commercial products. Use recommended protective gloves, eyewear, etc. My favorite stain is a mixture of 1 part Danish oil stain, 1 part boiled linseed oil, to 2 parts mineral spirits or paint thinner. There is an odorless mineral spirit product which I'd recommend. Combine these ingredients in a glass jar with a screw-on lid. Label the jar so as to prevent accidents. Be sure to sign and date the basket on the bottom. Some weavers like to number their baskets. You may already have a style you prefer. Congratulations! You have just finished weaving the By Her Baskets reading basket. We hope you have enjoyed this project. By Her Baskets is continually updating its pattern selections, kits, and instructional DVDs. Contact us for more information.